All
Yeah.
right. Let me see. We got other people in the waiting room. I'm not sure who to let in at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to be coming from four names, or not just one name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
And
three or four.
it was male and female.
Yeah, we got you anybody know somebody with Shine's iPhone before I admit him or no?
Oh, let him in. You can always mute him.
All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
My only thing is that Ornitha normally, I think that's how she normally comes in through a cell phone. Well, Adolphus, welcome to the Black History Month edition of the DFOB. Wow.
Hey, Reverend, it's a little ironic. I was the Black History Month speaker today at the St. Louis field office for the FBI,
Right.
and this was one of my subject matters.
Wow.
We need to have you come do a training for us, Adolphus, on
Hey,
how to handle the hate.
Listen.
well,
Reverend Gray, if I can interrupt 1 second.
Yeah.
The number that I have for Mr. Dom apparently is no longer working. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And Mr. Lawson's call went into voicemail, but I did leave a message for him.
Okay. I'm going to give us at least 4 more minutes. I mean, we don't have a quorum, obviously. So, and I'm not sure what, if anything, we can do without it. I'm not sure we can do anything without it. It just means we'll have to follow up with everyone individually to look at a new date, if that's what we're going to have to do. It does give us some time to meet with the director and to follow back up with Dr. Mahdi on our requests. I understand we can keep going as long as we don't vote on anything. That's my understanding. But Barbara, is that correct?
Well, I mean, we can't do any business, so
We can can we have use it as an information session? When I say information, like I've got Mr. Pruitt on. I don't want to lose the opportunity to hear from him because I know how busy he is. I mean, I'm looking and I don't necessarily see anything that we have to vote on, even if we utilize it to still do public comments. I don't want the public to be penalized because board members are not present for whatever reason.
Arnitha's getting on.
oh, that's great. Then we just need one more.
So a quorum is 4 or 5?
5.
Five. So Hillary's here.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Tom's here.
Oh,
We
well,
have
there's Tom.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, hey, no problems, no worries.
Okay.
See what happens when you're having fun. And I'm glad they missed those characters in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm glad they were not subjected to that.
Oh man, we missed the show. What's going on? What happened?
Oh, Hillary, you missed it. We had some of the good old boys and girls on telling us how much they love people of color.
Oh.
Yeah, they were telling us we were number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I apologize. I just got off of a work call. I do apologize.
I'll call you later to tell you what they really said.
Okay, please do. And I losing my voice a little bit. So just bear with me, but I'm here.
We just need Anitha, and then we're good. Are any of these numbers hers, Pam? The 314-580, I don't know her number.
Pam, you're muted.
Pam.
I'm looking.
Okay. All right. When we get her on, we're good to go. And thank you, everybody, for your patience. Like I said, I don't anticipate us being.
That's not her number.
Okay.
Or it's not the number I have for her. But I just talked to her on the phone and I resent her the link.
She's the only one we're waiting for.
Right.
So, y'all, thank you for your patience and everything. Well, that called mind me usually what I do in the morning. You know, at one point, you know, when you're doing activist work and you're doing protests and civil disobedience, and Chief Hayden told me something right after the Stockley protest. I asked him, I said, Chief Hayden, were y'all did y'all put us under surveillance and all of that? And he said, yes. And he was very forthright. He said, yes. He said, all of the protest leaders, we had you under surveillance. I said, well, that accounts for every time I picked up my phone, I got this weird feeling. But when I got that weird feeling, what I would normally do is either sing a hymn or say a prayer. And I figure whoever was listening, I just take them to church. And that's that. And I would do it. I did it throughout the different protests, the Stockley protest, the George Floyd protest. Anytime Expect Us was involved in a protest, I would make sure that when I picked up my phone, particularly in the morning, I had a prayer meeting with whoever was listening. I just, love, man. All right. So, do we have her yet? Are we good? Pam?
Not yet. I don't.
Lord.
I wonder if you could call her back, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let us do that. So I guess when you have these types of public meetings that are open to the public, you really never know who you're going to get on the call. You just don't know. I blame the office. They knew he was going to be on the call. I think Rasheen said yes. We all blame Adolphus.
Okay. All right. Is there anything?
Okay. Okay.
Sounds like Pam's giving her instructions.
Okay. Because what I was going to do is, I wanted to wait. We have 5. I apologize. Things happen. And I tell you how weird that was for the part that says Black History Month comments. I was going to read a little excerpt from a book, and the title of that chapter was "The Importance of Being Ethical and Resilient." So I guess we should have let them hear this part of it before we put them out the group.
I don't think that speech is protected, Reverend Gray.
You don't think so?
I have 0 tolerance. You saw how fast I was on. Shut up and go away.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't have to let that in my life. And I'm not going to.
Another meeting I was assigned to was hijacked or whatever you call it with pornography. I'm not kidding. It was none too pleasant either.
Oh, God, Barb.
It happened.
Don't give him any ideas.
Mm, well, okay. Still waiting. For all of you who are waiting with us, thank you very much. On behalf of the board, we do apologize for the late start, but we do appreciate your support and your interest. Thank you again very much.
And I think, Reverend Gray, it's important for people to know we have 3 vacancies. So getting a quorum is going to be a bit of a challenge until we get those filled, because we have to have 5 people out of, what is it, 9?
Yeah.
All right. We have 8 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Nine.
know.
Nine.
Anyway,
9 total.
yeah, we have
9.
9 and we're missing 3. So if,
Do you know which 3? Do you know offhand which 3 people?
yes, we need somebody who's 18 to 24 years old, under 24. We need somebody who is working for an advocacy group with expertise in this area. And then we need someone, an ex detainee,
Right.
and they all have to live in the city. And they can't have any relatives that work for the city or in corrections or for the police, I think. I think those are the only restrictions. And I've reached out, I know others have too, but I've reached out to the universities thinking, somebody who is getting a social justice degree would be perfect, I'd be glad to help mentor them. I don't know people in the advocacy community. I don't know that we have that many organizations that we can pull from that live in St. Louis City. And then a former detainee. I don't know how we put the call out for that, but I know that I think the law was changed so that the mayor makes the appointments now going forward. I have to look at that again. It was 3 appointments were by the Board of Aldermen and the rest were by the mayor, but I kind of think that got changed to just be the mayor.
Well, I don't know.
I know they're recruiting, they're trying to get people.
Representative Aldridge is on, and so when we get to that part, he might be able to.
Remember?
Well,
Look
I know
like the
there's
chair is
anybody
off.
that's interested.
This is Alderman Aldridge. It looked like the chair is gone, so I'm willing to run the meeting now if you guys need somebody. But to your question, Ms. Walker, no, we didn't change who appoints. So the Board of Aldermen still has the power to appoint.
I know if you have interest in any board or commission, you can go on the city website and fill out the application and you can sort out if you meet the qualifications for that or another board as they go through your application. So, all of the opportunity to look into it is on the city website. I don't know if the chair is aware that he dropped off.
I just got off the phone with Ms. Lewis Wales, and she's gonna try dialing in now. She said that the Zoom feature wouldn't allow her to get in, so I suggested that she try dialing in. So we'll see. She said she had never dialed in before. I thought she had.
I thought
Okay.
so too.
She may have just needed to upgrade her Zoom or something. I'm not sure. Oswald, can you make a note of possibly reaching out to her just to see if we can provide some assistance to her? If she needs an upgrade or,
Okay, my question is this, under the same premise that we just, provide information. I mean, it's been 26 minutes and, hopefully she'll continue to try to get on. It just means we won't be able to vote, for anything, until she comes on. I don't want to continue to penalize folk who have been waiting for the last 26 minutes. What are your thoughts, board members? We'll continue to try to get her on.
I thought there were 5 of you on already, no?
No, I think it's 4. Tom's on, but James is not on. So it's myself,
Okay,
Pam, Hillary, and Tom. Yeah, we have to speed up this thing by getting some more board members, but anyway. So
yeah, we probably should poll the members before the meeting too, going forward.
yeah. All right, I know that Pam's going to continue to try to get Anita on, but let's just go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:27. We'll call the roll, and based upon that, we'll state if it's a regular meeting or if it's will be used to provide information, and we won't vote unless any board members have a problem with that. So, James Darm, Hillary Stuckey,
Here.
Pam Walker,
Here,
Thomas Lawson,
Here.
or Anita Lewis Walls. So we have 4 members and hopefully another one coming in. We cannot approve the minutes without.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Reverend Gray, but she has dialed in. That is her number that ends in 84.
Good,
And hopefully Answa can let her in.
excellent.
She's in, but it doesn't look like she has the ability. Her mic is not showing, so I don't know if she can speak.
Yeah. Well, without her being able to say present, I can't list her as present.
Did she turn her video on just so we could just see her give a thumbs up or?
Yeah. Can someone, Pam, can we let her know that?
she called in. I don't know if that will work.
Can you text
What
her?
was the question?
Can she turn on video? She just called in.
Yeah. if
She
can
just
turn-
called in.
Yeah.
And we can't even identify a mic, but she can hear you. It's just that without a mic, she won't be able to vote or anything anyway.
Right.
So, but she's present, so business can proceed, right, or not?
We're just trying to verify that she's present. She should be able to unmute. I'm not really sure why
She's
that is.
dialed in. She's not in via Zoom. She dialed in on the phone. You know how you have the
Yeah,
alternative?
I've done that before myself. Yeah.
But apparently either she doesn't have a mic or she doesn't know how to turn it on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think that could be it, because even when you dial in, you've got to dial something in order to take yourself off of mute. So I'm going to continue.
Just some help for the council. *9 to unmute by phone.
Okay.
*9, did you say?
I believe it's *9 or *6.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So hopefully she heard that. And thank you very much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward, and if we can work that out, we'll work that out. So we cannot approve the minutes of the previous meeting, but I know that they've all been sent out, and that's the meeting from February the 5th. Black History Month comments. Alderman Rashid, I know that the city for the last couple of years has embarked in celebrating Black History Month as a elected official and one who has promoted that. Would you like to share some comments around Black History Month?
Well, you caught me off record. I won't share comments. I'll just give, I guess, a little history, like you,
Yeah.
Chairman Rev Gray said. So the Board of Aldermen has raised the Pan-African flag at the beginning of Black History Month. Basically, the Black Caucus organized that. This was special this year because it was a 10-year anniversary that several alder people, such as Alderman Terry Kennedy, I want to say one of the Roberts, if not both Roberts, I forget the alderman who used to write for the American, all basically, Alderman Mike Jones, passed a resolution several years ago where St. Louis City became the first metropolitan city to actually raise the Pan-African flag. So we've continued that tradition. It was special this year because, like I say, it was the 10th year that the flag at City Hall is raised with the Pan-African flag. So you don't see it at other government buildings, but the Board of Aldermen passed a resolution where every year, the first day of Black History Month, we raise a Pan-African flag. So that was historic this year, especially with it being 10 years, to just be a new alder person standing on the shoulders of some greats that actually forced the city to raise this flag, which is important because there's a lot of history when it comes to African American history, and it's always good to be represented, and it's always good to know that your city see you. So I just want to say thank you to Alderman Terry Kennedy, who's still the clerk at the Board of Aldermen, and several alder people before me who passed this resolution. Where again, St. Louis is probably the first city, I think, out of many major cities that actually start raising the Pan-African flag, which just in the state, I want to say we probably still the only one. You don't see other municipalities doing so.
Well, thank you so much. And I realized that I was calling you without giving you any warning or notice, but knowing you, alder person, and knowing your involvement in these types of efforts, particularly working to educate people around Black history, Black culture, Black literature, knowing that that is one of your passions, and particularly when we look at around the country, alder person, you've got government entities who are trying to remove Black history, from curriculums and Black literature from libraries. And so it is pretty awesome that our city would recognize Black History Month in such a way. And so I thank you very much for that information. I thank you for your commitment. I do want to say on behalf of the board, Alderman, that we offer our condolences and our prayers to you on the recent passing of your mom. She was and continues to be a strong force in this city because she's a strong force through you. And we commend her for her work in numerous ways, from dealing with young women and being a mentor for young women and young men. Her fight for 15 and around the labor movement. But I must say, Alderman, most of all, we thank her for the support she gave you many days. We saw you out there on the front line, and she wasn't that far from you. And so on behalf of the Detention Facility Oversight Board, we do offer our condolences and our prayers. Our thoughts are with you. But we know you got some good DNA in you from her. So I wanted to share that. So thank you for being on this call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure. Chair's report. I think we talked about it prior to the meeting. We don't have any more information than we had last week. I know that Alderperson Aldridge did reach out. So I know that the Public Safety Committee is moving on it. And as I said at our last meeting, Jared Boyd, the Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office, also indicated that they are working to do two things to the board members whose terms have expired. They're trying to work them through the process of sustaining their position. And we are all, as Secretary Walker said, all trying to identify people to submit to the person responsible for boards and commissions. I know I've talked to people. I know others have talked to people, but it's a slow go. It is important that we try to get somebody as quickly as possible. As Secretary Walker said, it makes it more difficult to have a quorum when we're at these numbers. And so if anyone knows of someone who might be interested, who fits the criteria, the under 18, the 18 and under area, the ex-offender or ex-detainee, and someone who works in the area of advocacy around criminal justice reform, prison reform, we definitely need that. I'm sorry I did skip over to training and orientation, but James is not on. But according to Barbara, they haven't connected, and so I don't know where James is as far as if he was able to complete that final orientation training. I know that the five of us who are on the call have completed everything, and he's the only one that has not, from my understanding. So we will try to reach out to him tomorrow, to find out where we are with that. I did invite Dr. Marty. I'm not going to even try to pronounce her full name because I don't want to mess it up, but she allows us to call her Dr. Marty. We've asked her to do a brief presentation for the board, just to bring us up to date on where we are with the hiring of the chief medical officer. I believe that they have hired someone. And my understanding is through the process that chief medical officer will then be responsible for the hiring of the 11 or 12 medical staff people that the public safety director and the administration has allocated money for. And so I did get a response from her that she would not be able to attend today's meeting, but she will try from the March or April meeting. And that's per the Director of Operations, Director Nancy Cross. I believe Dr. Marty's office falls under the Director of Operations. And so per Director Cross, which we're going to try to get Dr. Marty in for March or April, which may be an advantage because that hopefully would have given the new medical director the opportunity to look to do an assessment.
Can you guys fortify the detention center so the sewer Jews can't tunnel their way out?
And that would also allow her to.
Chairman, we're being hacked again.
I know, I saw that. That's why I kept going. That's why I kept going. The other side of this.
You know how I know God hates niggers? He put pubic hair on their heads.
I'll let Anwar do that. I'll let Anwar.
Why are black males so violent? Why do y'all commit over 60% of all violent crimes and rapes?
Is that we'll call upon her probably in those meetings. And so we'll turn the agenda now. That was just.
When are you going back to Africa? Because nobody wants you here.
Community observations.
Every single aspect of the slave trade was Jewish. Look at Io Kamathi's.
So, Mr. Pruitt, once we are able to silence the hate, then we'll call upon you. I know Anwar's working with that. So once we're able to silence the hate, Mr. Pruitt will call upon you. And again, we apologize for the late start.
Don't you have a bike to steal?
And so, Anwar, how are we doing with?
I'm getting them out as fast as I can.
Okay. When you've done that, let us know so that we can call upon.
That's it as far as I
Fuck
can.
you, nigger. Woo!
No, we have one more in there.
We hope it's just one more.
Okay.
I happen to feel
with the link being public, it's probably going to continue to happen. So they'll just continue to generate these bots. So that's just something future wise I need to think about. But
yeah, thank you, Alderman. Mr. Pruitt, do you? We want to give you the floor now.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff coming out of me today. It's unfortunate, but that's the times we live in, and that's why we exist as an organization. That's exactly why some folks used to ask what relevance is NACP. Well, I think you just got a good example of why we have to exist. Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I want to speak for a moment. I won't take up much of your time. As things have happened in the past 6 months or so, we get just as many calls as anybody else from people concerned about their loved ones in the facility. And of course, as things were heightened publicly with the press, we also get calls and asking us, and even from some of our board members on a monthly basis, is how are things progressing and going with the Oversight Commission, and I've been able to share with them at least what I think I know, and then I thought maybe I would at minimum share with you what I think I know, and you can correct me And I was going to make a suggestion that I know within the ordinance, I mean, I helped draft it, that it had provided for the means of some sort of annual report that outlines some of the accomplishments and some things of that nature. And of course, you may not be at that juncture. It may be something that will happen at the end of 2024. But I don't know, maybe something in the interim, whether it's a press release or something that speaks to how things are progressing based on all of the hype and the other stuff that occurred in the past. I just suggest it could be helpful. But what I have been able to share with what I think I know is that one, that we have a board that is functioning and that all of its members who are required to be trained have received the training that was debated publicly, whether it had to happen or didn't have to happen. And I've also shared with them that I thought I heard that the investigators have received their requisite training and they're able to go in the facility and conduct investigations and things of that matter, which I think are two of the most critical pieces that the public has been exposed to as relates to it not occurring. And so I'm just asking it, or if I'm correct, are those things in place? And if they are, what is the opportunity to provide the public with some form of update so that for two reasons. One, just to demonstrate that the commission is functioning, it is moving forward as written legislatively. And that two, that the discard and some of the other things that were going on have ceased, and we actually have a functioning public commission, and folks are wondering and asking. So those are the brief remarks that I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and we thank you very much. As Mr. Pruitt indicated, he was on the original correction, the task force, and was instrumental in helping to bring about the 86 recommendations from the task force, but was also instrumental in working with former alder people on the Public Safety Committee, former chairperson Alderman Joe Vaccaro, the mayor's office, and other with other public input in helping to draft the original DFOB ordinance, and was responsible and engaged in all of that. And so that's why, I felt it was important to ask Mr. Pruitt to come on, and also to bring him up to speed. Now we have, and I don't know, and Ruby can probably help with that. We did, Mr. Pruitt, do in September, kind of closer to the September, October-ish, we did produce a Development Facility Oversight Board combined annual and quarterly report for 2022-23. I don't know how widely distributed it is, but that was done. And I know that there is a commitment from our Deputy Commissioner, Ms. Bronner, and her staff to make sure that we have quarterly reports. And in the next quarterly report, I think it would be safe to say, Mr. Pruitt, that quarterly report will definitely reflect some movement as it relates to those board members who have received their training, staff that have received their training. We do have one board member whom we thought had received all of their training, only to learn at the last meeting that he is missing sunshine request training and the second part of the orientation. And it is our hope that would be completed very, very soon, but we have 5 out of 6. We have staff has had some success in their investigations, but once again, I'll let the Deputy commissioner respond to that. And there is a opportunity for her to do that on the agenda under staff reports. We've moved a long way, Mr. Pruitt, with our policies and procedures. We felt that without having that, we didn't have we had policies and procedures, but without having the one that went through the collaboration phase, hindered us somewhat. But so now we voted as a board on that, and that's being reviewed by the Director of Public Safety. So suffice to say, Mr. Pruitt, and I believe you can share this with your board members and others who are asking, we regret that we lost 3 board members. We believe all of them to be committed to the mission of this board. But the remaining board members have made a commitment to complete the task that has been given to us and that we've agreed to do. And so I would say that we're in a good place now. We've been inside the detention facility, most of the board members. We've had a meeting with Director Coyle, most of the board members. So we've done some things of late that we were not able to do, as you said, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, let alone 6 months ago. So we do see that progress. I'll ask any other board members if they want to share their observation to Mr. Pruitt's, to his observations and his question. Any other board members want to share? I don't want to be the only one. Pam? Is Pam on mute? Pam, you're on mute.
I can't see and I can't talk. Yes, Mr. Pruitt, those are all really legitimate questions, and I think we are in a place where we can, make a public statement that it's better. There will always be conflict because we're an oversight board. So we're probably not all going to give a big hug and dance and, love each other in public ever, but we're communicating better. I think there's a little bit better level of trust. We've seen some things be put in place, like the medical oversight in the health department. I heard Dr. Maddie speak on the subject, and I could tell she is not playing. She takes it very seriously and is committed to improve medical care and mental health care in the facility, which is, my big issue of concern. I do know, and Ruby's supposed to report on it tonight, that we have conducted 1 or 2 investigations since we all got trained and the staff all got trained. I don't know, I've still got questions about that. We had complaints last year that didn't get investigated. I don't know if we just move on from those or just take on new ones for this year, but it's my hope, and I think it's possible, that here in the next month, we can get some findings from the staff on a few investigations that they've conducted and fulfill our role of making recommendations upon those findings. And that's pretty much what we're supposed to do, is have the staff investigate complaints when they're submitted. They bring us their findings and we make recommendations. Now, the Director of Public Safety said he's going to take those recommendations seriously. When he can implement them, he will. But if he can't, he will explain to us why he can't. So that will be the next phase, I think, of how seriously is the city going to take our recommendations about findings. So I agree with everything the chairman said. It's much, much better, but we have a ways to go to work out some things going forward so that it runs really smoothly.
Good news.
Thank- Any other board members? Hillary, Tom, don't want to limit anyone. Would either one of you? Okay.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, one other thing is that organizations like mine, of course, we're on the outside looking in, but us and the public as a whole, if there are things that we can be doing on our end that can be supportive of what the commission is trying to do and how things are moving forward, feel free to let us know. I've always said that the greater oversight is the public at large and those organizations charged with protecting people's civil liberties and their civil rights. So whatever we can do, we will do. But I will assure you that in the past, and we will continue as we get complaints that come in, the first thing we do is ask them, have they reached out to the Facilities Oversight Commission and file a complaint that truly is a appropriate step, and to let us know if for some reason or other their request falls on deaf ears. And I can say over the past few months, we haven't received any calls back to that effect.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pruitt. Ms. Stuckey did say that she can't unmute herself, but she didn't have any comments. And so again, thank you very much. You're welcome to stay on. I don't anticipate that we'll be much longer, but of course, you're welcome to stay. I know you're a busy person. We're going to move to staff reports, and before we do, and this might kind of dovetail into that, Director Coyle did call me today and wanted to schedule a meeting with members of the board to discuss the policies and procedures that have been presented to him. I did say to him that I would poll the board tonight to see A, if they want to meet, B, what the timing would look like. And I have no problems with facilitating that. But I also believe that whatever concerns the director has regarding the DFOB policies and procedures that we have approved, that it's okay for him to meet us and to share his concerns, but I think it would be more transparent if he would share his concerns in writing. If there are issues of concern that the director of public safety has regarding the policies and procedures that we submitted as a board and approved, then those concerns should be articulated in writing, as well as an opportunity for us to sit down. I always, I believe, I support anytime we have an opportunity to sit down with the director to get information, to voice concerns, we should do that. But I think as it relates to the policies and procedures that which will govern investigations, I think that whatever concerns he has, that we should request that those be in writing. With that, I would turn it over to our deputy commissioner for staff reports. Deputy Commissioner Barner.
Good evening. Thank you,
Good
Reverend Gray. And it's
You
always
guys
a
do realize that
pleasure
if we just
to-
eliminated niggers from
Here
our
we go
country, then we would
again.
eliminate virtually.
That was quick, Francois.
There you go.
Okay. I was saying hello to Executive Director Pruitt. It's always a pleasure to see him. And I'd like to just comment, since he raised the point of the annual report. And yes, Chair, we did submit a report of sorts at the end of October,
Nice.
last October. And it was a combined and quarterly because we were behind in terms of when the ordinance required the annual report to come out. So that report is still waiting for the director's review and approval for distribution. And we are also, Mr. Pruitt, in the process, if he's still on, in the process of doing a quarterly report. And we wanted to present that to the board and the director timely and be on schedule. I will also say, however, that probably not, it's unclear. It depends upon how quickly we can get these investigations totally done. We have not fully completed and investigated any of the complaints. And so I'd like to ask the lead investigator, Louisa Lyles, to go ahead and give you the stats on complaints that have come in and what, if any, action in terms of our internal protocols have been taken relative to those complaints that we have, which also, by the way, should include corrections incidents. That includes the deaths, the jail incidents. The board, through its support arm, the Division of Civilian Oversight, does have authority to investigate all of those matters. The complaints, whether internal, external, as well as incidents such as jail deaths, what else? What other incidents come to mind? Hostage, assault on employees. Those are all incidents that under the ordinance, the DFOB is authorized to investigate. So Louisa, are you on the line? You want to give the report on the stats? Are you on mute?
Oh yes, I'm available. Good
Okay.
evening, good evening, everyone. To
Good
the
evening.
DFOB board members and also to the general public. As Ms. Bonner stated, my name is Louisa Lyles, and I am prepared to give the DFOB an aggregate information about what's happening and concurring for its complaints received and pending, the timetable that we have to complete complaints. We also have received some information from the medical examiner and also information pertaining to the Force Investigative Unit as well. To date, we have received a total of 35 complaints. In 2023, we received 35. So far to date, we've received 2 from in 2024. For its complaints pending, all are pending. As Deputy Bonner had stated, Deputy Commissioner Bonner had stated earlier that we have not had an opportunity to complete an investigation. We have not. However, we have had an opportunity to interview 2 detainees, one in 2023, myself and former investigator Love went to a CJC and we interviewed a detainee there who was within a few hours immediately released from the facility. And Deputy Bonner and Investigator May had an opportunity to also go and interview a detainee in the last few days. As a matter of fact, before this, we finish up our report, Deputy Bonner or either Investigator May will tell you about their experience that they had. I will say that when myself and Investigator Love had an opportunity to go within this facility, we were able to go inside the facility and go up on the 3rd floor into the multipurpose room. So we were able to sit down and interview the detainee. One of the staff members was present during that time taking notes, but we did have we could say as much as could be possibly had a private setting in which to ask the detainee questions. It's my understanding that Deputy Bonner May and Deputy Bonner and Investigator May did not have that same experience. And I'd like for either one of them to kind of share with you what they experienced. Then I'll get back to the report.
Okay, did I mute myself?
No.
Thank you, Luis. Since I did not really go over as an investigator, as you know, once we were given a schedule for a specific detainee, you and Mr. May were supposed to go. You had an unfortunate incident, and I decided to go in your stead since we had reported there would be 2 members from DCO. And so having gone over my capacity more as an administrator as opposed to an investigator, I'm going to ask Investigator May if he'd like to share his observations of the most recent access we were granted to a detainee.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Antoine.
Well, upon entry, we were not allowed to take our phones or any devices. We weren't treated like we were staff from the Civilian Oversight Board. When we actually were allowed to make contact with the detainee, we were provided a social booth, a small social booth, with a telephone where all communications could be recorded, as opposed to being placed in an area which was suitable for professional use or confidentiality. So we were unable to conduct the interview. Aside from that, the detainee looked as though he was pretty intimidated and really afraid to speak to us.
Are you finished?
Would you like for me to go further?
If you have more you'd like to share.
I mean, overall, I just wasn't pleased with the way that we were treated, the way that we were greeted. They also treated Commissioner Bonner and Deputy Commissioner Bonner with a level of disrespect. They didn't give her any respect or acknowledgement as to her title, as to why we were there. So it just wasn't a pleasant experience overall.
Thank you, and thank you for your observation. I would also add, as a part of our protocol, we have, to the extent we're able to identify an attorney that represents a detainee, whenever we have requested a date and time to interview a complainant who is being detained, we notify the attorney of record as well. And this particular day, the detainee's attorney beat us there, actually. And so there were the 3 of us that were taken up to a social booth where the detainee had to put in a code, and we could only communicate, through the phone in the social booth. That was too small for either the attorney or Investigator May to also go in. And so that has been the experience that that we've had so far. I considered it forward movement, though, Secretary Walker, because there was a response. There was a date and a time provided that we could come in and interview a detainee. So I agree. It does appear that there is some forward movement, and certainly as long as I have some authority over day-to-day operations, I will be encouraged by that.
Do you share your concerns with the Director of Public Safety? Did you share your concerns about that interview?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I have not shared that information with the director as of
And
yet.
might I add?
Just a moment. I think, I think I did briefly. And the recommendation was a meeting. That's why at our last meeting, I reported there had been some access, but I also reported that there was some logistics that needed to be worked out, and that I had requested a meeting. So yes, the director was probably not to this extent. He certainly didn't hear Mr. May's observations, but I had hoped to be able to hear back so that we could I could we could have a meeting with the commissioner and just find out, because I also know that she had some concerns about about the phones for other reasons. So there are any number of issues that she's confronted with, not to mention the fact that we are all caught up in the budget crunch. So I was prepared to give her, uh, more time to respond to a meeting so that we can try to work through. Uh, are we going to be treated as visitors? Should we plan to be like visitors? Or are we going to be treated as professionals? Can we request a contact booth or room? Those are the logistics that I am talking about.
Deputy Commissioner, in the ordinance and or the policies and procedures, is there anything, be it in the ordinance or the policy and procedure, is there anything that dictates or determines the process of investigation? I mean, maybe it does. I don't know if it goes as thorough as, for example, privacy. You indicated, or your investigator indicated, that it was a semi-private interview with a correctional officer there. And so I guess moving forward, for me, if your staff are going to have any semblance of authority and or trust from the detainees, the detainees are going to have to feel that that if they have a complaint, that an investigation can take place without the ears and the eyes of the same institution that and or staff that it is complaining about. Just listening to it, it does not seem to me as the most suitable situation to conduct an investigation. And I'm glad that you said that you've had some conversation with the director. I know when we go as a board, we're going to bring it up, but if we bring it up, I'm just trying to understand the relationship between commissioners, that you are a deputy commissioner, the commissioner of corrections is a commissioner. You both serve under the director of public safety. And again, we're not trying to create issues for your staff. We're not trying to create problems for your staff. We want to be supportive of your staff. But it just doesn't seem to me, from hearing from your investigators, and first of all, thank you both for your honesty and your forthrightness. I know it must be difficult, but 35 complaints last year, 2 complaints this year. It doesn't matter if we get 100 complaints. If we're not able to investigate, or if you're not able to investigate, rather, or be allowed to investigate them in a manner that allows you to provides the privacy, the security, the protection of the detainees, then nobody's going to come forward to give a complaint. So I didn't mean to say all of that. But you did indicate that you are looking to have a meeting with the Commissioner for Corrections, so that between the two of you as commissioners, that you can determine how your staff will be received within the center, and what support will be given to your staff in order to do their job in a manner that is conducive to an investigation. So is that what I'm hearing, that you're going to follow up with the Commissioner of Corrections to deal?
That is certainly my hope, Reverend Gray, because I've not been in a position to really sit down with her. I think just based on my years of experience in the circuit attorney's office and private practice and access to jails, I have an understanding, a broad-based understanding of the situation from the commissioner's viewpoint. And what I'm hoping to be able to do is to hear from her and to be able to reach some kind of consensus as to what will work best for both of our concerns for as long as I'm here doing this. And you know, that's transitory. But since I was not involved at all with investigation under the former commissioner, I come with an unbiased and blank slate, basically. And so I would really like an opportunity, as long as we're being charged to do this, and if in fact the board has been cleared to now receive investigations just like the commissioner and the director receives. If you're ready to do that, then we ought to be able, as Secretary Walker said, to complete some investigations and present findings of fact and conclusions and recommendations to the board to act on that. Because to not be able to do that, in my mind, really has a very chilling effect on the intention of the ordinance, because we don't have a product to say we're helping somebody, nor do we, and nor are the complaints available to the people who are supposed to be able to file the complaints. I don't know that even if the total way is cleared, if the people who we're supposed to be helping will be able to get help. Will they trust us enough to take a risk of possibly being subjected to retaliation to do all of this? So those are concerns. Those are overall concerns that I'd like the board to consider as we move forward too. But yes, I'm very much interested in finding out directly from Commissioner Clemens Abdullah how she best sees our agency being able to access the complainants, access certain documents that we have requested in order to be able to begin a complete and thorough investigation of the complaints that we have. And may I say too, Secretary Walker, of course, that's a question within the board's domain, I believe, but I think that every complaint, regardless as to when it has come in at this point, deserves at the very least a reasonable inquiry, depending upon the subject of the complaint. So I'm not prepared to dismiss any complaints at this point because of age.
Secretary Walker, this is Louisa Lyles. I know I went off into talking about the comparison about how the interviews went, but there's also additional information I'm sure the board would like to receive for us with the DOC report about what we have gathered so far. I would like to also add in that I was an investigator with the Division of Corrections for 14 years prior to coming here. And one of the things that neither Deputy Commissioner Bonner or Investigator May stated was that the detainee did say that they did not feel comfortable talking and that they would contact us after they left the facility. They have been released. but they have not. So I cannot say whether or not that experience had some bearing on it. But one of the things like you brought out is that fact that you do want the detainees to feel comfortable. When myself and Investigator May had an opportunity to go into a multi-purpose room and speak with the detainee, although there was a staff person there, that individual spoke for approximately an hour, sharing information with us because they felt more comfortable in that environment. Because like Investigator May has stated, in the visitor booth, the entire conversation is being recorded. They can pull it up later on. As an investigator, I know that those calls are recorded, so that had an effect. Moving forward, however, since we have not had an opportunity to complete any investigations, an investigation starts with an interview. But when we do not have an opportunity to have access to other documentation, for as the inmate jail management system, it tells us where a person been housed at, whether or not they received any medical treatment, if they have a medical complaint, things of that nature. Because we have not had access to that type of information, we have not been able to do a complete investigation on anything at all, and we have not had access to that information. One of the things that came out was we received from the coroner's office, the medical examiner sent over some of the autopsy reports from the facility. There were 10 in total, starting back in April of 2021. But the ones that covered the time frame in which the ordinance that we're under covers, starting in August the 10th of 2022 up until December the 3rd of 2023, there were 7. So they did provide that information for us. Now, because of the ordinance, the investigators in Division of Civilian Oversight do not do the investigations. The Force Investigative Unit with the police department does the investigation. To date, we have only received 4 reports from the Force Investigative Unit, and those reports did not include a lot of information for us, the police reports or things of that nature. It was like an overall report that they did. They gave us information on who they may have interviewed. No recordings, no videos, nothing of that nature. So we are still looking for some additional information from them as well. For incidents that happen in the jail, our ordinance says that we're supposed to be able to investigate incidents. I must say, unless we see something on the news, unless the media informs us, we do not know of any incidents that occurred inside the jail. The incident that occurred back in August of 2023 involving the officer who was taken hostage and beaten, in October 2023, there was an incident that occurred where a security officer who was functioning as in the jail was beat by 2 detainees. And then here recently in January, just last month, a female officer was assaulted in the Justice Center. We did not receive a phone call or anything, or email, or anything letting us know about that incident. If we don't see it on the news, if someone does not contact us, we are not made aware of that information at all. That hampers us from being able to do what we're supposed to do in reference to the ordinance in its entirety.
Louisa, can I just interrupt you 1 second? I've just noticed that Secretary Walker's hands up. I don't know if Reverend Gray wants to take over acknowledging board members who have questions, but
I saw the hand. I wanted to at least give Louisa an opportunity to finish her report.
Okay.
I'm going to recognize Secretary Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, listening to you all list concerns, the Director of Public Safety said on a couple of occasions that when there are areas of disagreement in processes and procedures and policies, he's going to ask you to look to the ordinance. And specifically, what does the ordinance say? So No, I strongly recommend that you outline some of these concerns to him and quote the ordinance specifically. I know there's privacy language in the ordinance. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know what it says. But, you know, don't just look at the intent of the ordinance overall. Focus on specifics. We want privacy when we interview. What does the ordinance say about that? What does the policies and procedures say about that?
It says confidentiality on every
Yeah.
on every point.
So I think if you do that, he will intervene. You know, if you meet with the commissioner, and she doesn't respond to that argument, then take it to the director of public safety. I mean, I'm going to take him at his word that he wants this to work and that he wants to have it work within the confines and intent of the ordinance. So I'm just encouraging you not to just tell us this stuff because we don't have firsthand experience with it. Here it is, you know, again. I think, you know, you're going to have to, like you said, taking it to the commissioner first. And if you don't make headway, then take it to him and be very specific about how that's a mandate for you under the ordinance to do it a certain way.
Well, I will agree with you, and that is one thing that Director Coyle has always said from the very beginning, from asking me to take over. He said, follow the ordinance. I mean, that's been his directive, and that has been what I have attempted to do, recognizing that, you know, reasonable people can always disagree. But my first point is, and I am very accustomed to giving rationales for any recommendations that I make, as you recently saw with the policies. And before, Reverend Gray, before we move away from the policies and procedures, it is my thinking that the board still has to adopt the combined information. So I think the motion, if I recall it, Secretary Walker, you can help me because I think you may have made the motion. The motion was to, as to whether or not the division's recommendations would be adopted. And the board did adopt the recommendations. However, I don't believe that the adoption of the recommendations adopts the policies and procedures as a whole.
We had a second motion. We adopted
did you?
Yeah, we adopted your changes first. And then I made a motion that we adopt the policies and procedures, including as amended. We basically amended the policies and procedures and then we passed them.
That's correct. I'm looking at the minutes now.
Is that correct? Because it was my understanding they had to be combined before you could act on them.
The first motion was to amend the ones that were given to us to include your comments.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second motion was to adopt it with the including those changes.
So what we've sent to
I was confused then, Secretary. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So well, the good news is what we sent to Director Coyle is the combined policies and procedures. When I say combined, as Secretary Walker said, we approved the staff recommendations and incorporated the staff recommendations into what we had received. And so what was forwarded to Director Coyle is that completed document. So, and I'm looking through, and I don't want to go back through it. I'm concerned. I do agree with Secretary Walker. First of all, whatever we can do to help facilitate that meeting, Deputy Commissioner, between you and Commissioner Clemens Abdullah, I think that's critical because, as Investigator Lau indicated, from what we're hearing, the environment has not conducive to your investigators being able to conduct a thorough, confidential investigation. And so whatever we can do, I agree that I would be as specific as possible, because I'm trying to, and I'll be going through the ordinance tomorrow. That's why I asked the question. I know that the policies and procedures outlines the process in which the investigation shall be done. Now, I'm sure it doesn't go into a lot of detail as to where people ought to be sitting and this, but it does say interviews will be conducted in person at a time and place that is convenient and accessible for the interviewee when feasible. And it goes on to talk about the expectation that the investigators should have in some type of support given by the Department of Corrections to ensure that the complainant is available, and B, that you're able to interview that complainant in person, and then it continues to go down the list as to what requirements are, that can you take pictures, can you record, and so all of that is there. I'm concerned, Deputy Commissioner Bronner, that the meeting between you and Commissioner Clemens Abdullah needs to take place more sooner than later. That right now, that's as we've seen all these opportunities throughout the last 2 years, this seems to be another one of those. And I'm gonna call it an opportunity right now. I'm not gonna call it anything else, but I'm gonna call it an opportunity only because I've seen some. But I think that this could be extremely problematic, and it could, as Investigator Lau says, it could erode whatever trust the detainees are going to have for oversight before we even begin to create any trust. We're going to find ourselves digging out of a hole in order to move forward. And so I look forward to your report, Deputy Commissioner, saying that I've met with the commissioner. These are the steps that we're looking at taking moving forward. And I'm satisfied based on that meeting that we're going to get the full cooperation from the Department of Corrections, that the Director of Public Safety continues to say that we have. And so that's all I wanted to say about that. I do have one other question, though, regarding the reports or the complaints, either to you or to the investigator. Are all the complaints that you have, are they all complaints that were given externally? Do you have in your possession any complaints that were written internally and then given to your office?
Yes,
Chairperson,
Louisa has those breakout.
Okay.
Yeah, Chairperson Gray, you read my mind because I was getting ready to go into that area. Of the complaints we have received, only 5 have come from corrections directly to us. That we either get them through email, or sometimes some people email the mayor's office or director of public safety and they're forwarded to us, or they come in through the postal services. So that's how we've been receiving the complaints. Because one of the things, I don't know if you remember the meeting we had with Commissioner Abdullah when we were talking about the tablets and the access of having the complaints on the tablets. Well, that's not been made available. And if it were to be made available, any information on the tablet would have to be retrieved by a direction of corrections staff person, which means we would not have direct access to that. And for the confidentiality, that is totally lost. So that would result in probably that would not be a comfortable situation.
Thank
we
you.
have not seen any other way. Now, one of that is an issue. So that's how we receive them. And as a result of receiving them that way, when they do send a complaint in through the mail, they put down the Division of Corrections as their address. And like I said earlier, with us not having access to certain information, when that person is released from the jail, we do not have access to the information as to what mailing address they may have said they're going to when they leave. So therefore, we're not able to move forward with the investigation because we have no way of contacting them. The only telephone number we have is basically that. So we're doing everything we can now to parse through that information again and see what we can gather out of it so we can try to move forward.
Thank you so much, Investigator Lyles. Again, I just believe y'all are doing an excellent job. I'm just reminded of somebody. I'm gonna say this. This is Black History Month. I'm reminded of the Hebrew slaves who were forced to make bricks with no straw. So I look forward, Deputy Commissioner, hopefully by our next meeting, of hearing back from you that you've had an opportunity now to give a more thorough report to Director Coyle, and that either you have facilitated a meeting with the Corrections Commissioner or that Director Coyle has done it. And so I know under new business, I was going to ask the board members again when they wanted to meet with Director Coyle, but I know that the board members on the call have already written down that this would be one of our #1 topics. Hopefully by the time we meet with him, you would have had an opportunity to meet. It is important. I'll close with this. 37 complaints. The investigators are still not being given they have the authority, but they're still not given the accessibility to do this. That's my take on this.
Well, along with that as well, we had received information early on that the board was not in compliance with orientation and training, and therefore would not be able to receive complaints. Or in other words, we could not have moved forward on that point as well. And so I believe that we would need to have some directive from the director or Nicole or somebody when it is appropriate for us to begin sharing complaints with the board, even if they must be redacted, in addition to sharing the results of any investigations once we're allowed to have them. So that might be on your agenda too.
Yeah, but
Deputy Commissioner, I have an email from the Director of Public Safety. The minute I finished my training, I sent him an email, and he immediately responded. And I think I shared that with you, that now that I'm trained, I have access to complaints. And as you know, I came to your office and I looked at them.
Right.
And so I think, that's really clear. Those that are trained can see the complaint.
Well, I received such an email as well. But then when we were prepared to move on that in terms of the access we needed to initiate the investigations, there was a lack of that. There was a disconnect. Let me just say that.
I think can we get this, Deputy Commissioner, the communication that you received from the director, could you give us a date on that? Because I agree with Board Member Walker, and I did send Director Coyle a communication. I believe I CC'd you on it. And I did say to him that per our meeting, per our discussion, it is my understanding that all board members who have received their training can now receive the files, the recommendations. And so I've heard nothing back from him to the contrary. So it is the board's understanding, and I'm saying this publicly for the record, it is the board's understanding that all board members, the 5 of us that are on this call right now, have all done, have completed all training, and based upon that, are in compliance with the ordinance, and based upon that, should be receiving these reports. That's per the ordinance. So this is my other part of this, though, Deputy Commissioner. Regardless of what the director says right now as it relates to this issue, we have been told under no uncertain terms that we were not in compliance. We disagreed, but board members still went through the process, did all the training, and has completed the training per the ordinance. And so we're going to, as a board, we're going to not demand, we're going to urge the staff to submit, when appropriate, in a process and mechanism determined safe and confidential, to make it accessible to board members who have or in compliance the documents that we request as far as these cases. And I'm going to urge board members to, when they make those requests, put it in writing so that we have receipts. We want to assist the staff as much as we can. We've come a long way. We've made a lot of progress. But right now, with 30 some cases, as the investigator pointed out, and we don't even know how many cases are really out there because of broken tablets or detainees who may not want to use tablets for fear that any complaint might go to corrections before they get to us. There's still a lot of things to work out. But as a board, whatever authority and responsibility we have per the ordinance, we're going to carry out those duties and responsibilities. And so, as I indicated, I communicated to the director. He said nothing to the contrary. He said, you know, and I put it in writing. So I would ask if you have any documentation that whereby the public safety director has prohibited board members from getting
No, I can assure you I do not have anything where the director has prohibited. What I am recommending as we positively move forward, Chairman Gray, since you've indicated you will be meeting with the director as a board, I'm simply suggesting that be one of your agenda items to send a directive to the staff, you know, basically.
I want to be clear.
Because I don't want the staff, we have dual reporting obligations. We report to the board and we report to the director.
Good, but I love clarity. Somebody wants to tell me clarity is important. We have already had the conversation with the director. Are you requesting that we ask the director to put in writing to the staff that he's giving staff permission to follow the ordinance?
I'd like to say, or authority to move forward with following those provisions of the ordinance that gives the board complete and full access to complaints and to be able to do their job.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, because it was a directive it was a written directive that said you were out of compliance. And for us, it would be helpful if we receive a written directive saying that you're in compliance. That way the staff doesn't have to waver.
Oh, no, I'm clear. I'm extremely clear. I know exactly what you're asking for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew you did, Reverend.
Oh yeah. I just wanted, you know, my dismay to show that not over you, but again, the board was not allowed to work because the director of public safety said we're not in compliance. Now everybody, including the deputy director, has said you're all in compliance now. And the ordinance is clear, but because I'm a big supporter of the staff and I don't want to put the staff in any conflicting situations, even before the meeting, I'm going to communicate to the director of public safety tomorrow. And I'm going to CC all the board members and the deputy commissioner, and I'm going to ask the Director Coyle to put in writing that that board members who are in compliance should have access per the ordinance, and I'll do that tomorrow. I won't wait on the board meeting.
The specifics as you indicated we should do.
Oh yeah, I'm clear.
All of the things you should receive from staff.
Oh yeah, I'm clear. All right. Anything else then under staff reports before we go to public comments?
No, if we've satisfied all of Secretary's questions regarding complaints and investigation, our report is concluded.
Secretary Walker, do you have any additional questions? I don't see her hand.
She's on mute.
Unmute.
You're on mute, Secretary Walker.
Can't unmute it because of Answar. She can't probably.
Oh,
right.
Answar?
Yeah, see, I couldn't talk before because of him controlling the mute, so he might have to let her.
I thought
he let me. He let me. No, I don't have anything else for tonight.
I'm sorry.
I don't have anything else for tonight.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay. I have a lot of work to do tomorrow. Okay, public comments. Let us Investigator May, do we have any hands up for public comment?
I don't see any hands up, but I do advise any public, if they speak, to watch what they say, please and thank you, or they will be deleted.
Okay. We'd say to the public, if you would like to be part of public comment, if you would raise your hand and we will have the staff introduce you, acknowledge you, and bring you in. Going once. Going twice. All right. I will reach out as far as new business. I am going to reach out to all the board members to see what kind of time. The director said that he would meet based upon our schedule. So we'll reach out and do a poll to see when board members are available. We won't be able to meet with him this week. He's out of pocket this week, but he is available next week. And so I'll reach out to board members tomorrow to find out what your availability is. The only, is there any other new business? I know that we wanted to deal with the vice chair position, but because we don't have, or Neither can't vote, we can't do that today, but Secretary Walker, I will have it on the agenda for the next meeting. We will have that on for the next meeting. I would like to ask, is the second Monday in March, that gives us 30 days. Is the second Monday in March acceptable to the board for our next meeting? And we will make sure that we follow up with everybody as a reminder. Any objection to the second? That's not a holiday for anybody, is it?
No. March 11th.
Okay. Pam, what you laughing at? That's not a holiday, is it, Pam? All right, Monday, March 11th. And like I said, I'll reach out to all the board members to see what date is convenient for us to meet with Director Coyle. And I am going to send Director Coyle that communication based upon our conversation tonight. And I will CC all of the board members on that communication so that everybody knows exactly what I'm asking him. Okay. All right. So did you say March the 11th? 5 p.m. No holiday plan. There's no holidays, no Mardi Gras, no Super Bowls. So we good? No.
Well, can I, just to follow up on whether or not Secretary Walker wants to send some kind of advance request for board members to indicate whether they're going to be present at the next meeting, or is that something you want staff to do? And if so, how far out? Because we typically now try to get the minutes and notice to you by the Thursday before, but that might not be enough time, or maybe it's because we just don't ask for the board members to indicate if they're going to be able to attend.
I'd recommend that when you start working on the agenda, before you invest a lot of time in it, that you ask for an RSVP from the board members.
Before we start working on the agenda.
Right. So,
okay.
Yeah. Give it, so it'd probably be what, 4 or 5
Maybe
days
a
or a week before.
A week before, or five business days before, or something like that. Okay.
No point in you guys putting it together and setting up a Zoom and all that if we're not going to have a quorum.
And the other thing is just it's not a pushback, but it kind of is a clarification again. We scheduled this meeting with board members on the call.
Right.
We didn't schedule this meeting without board members. And so we asked the board members if this was an acceptable date, and nobody objected. And so Grandmama used to say silence is consent. If all the board members said, okay, nobody said no.
We don't mind adding that step just to ensure, because it would, if we're not going to have a quorum, we definitely don't want to do the work, Reverend.
I'm not responding to the step. I think you're right. I think that you and the secretary are right. I was responding to the comment regarding board members. All board members are asked when we do schedule next meeting. That's a decision made by board members, not by one person. And so anybody who is part of that discussion can say, no, that doesn't work for me. But I'm glad that we're taking the other step. But I just wanted to be clear. We schedule meetings based upon the board, not based upon one person. And so we expect that
things come up. They just need to let you know that they're not going to be able to make it. Yeah. If something does come up.
I think that you both, the recommendation is an excellent recommendation. It can avoid not having quorums and being able to reschedule. So thank you very much for that.
If I might make a suggestion, when you send the agenda and the materials, you could also send a quick like Google invitation. So when people
Now
click
that
yes,
is
it
making more
automatically puts
work.
it on.
We'll do all of the above. Let us do all of the above. And we're gonna rely on Pam.
We would have to have somebody else do that Google invitation, Barb.
If you need any help, I mean, I would be happy to throw that out. You know, I like those that puts it on my calendar so I don't do any schedule problems, you know.
That's well, we have people who can do it. I'm just saying I'm not the likeliest person. Whereas a quick emails to 6 board members asking them to let me know if they can be in attendance. That's more my old school style. But I'll put you on first, and then if you want to follow up with an invite, I welcome it. Thanks.
Sure. No problem.
Thank all of you. You're wonderful, wonderful civil servants. I mean, we just love it. We love when we're getting our money's worth from the civil service. We love that. All right, listen.
We appreciate it.
Good. If there's no other business to come before this board, do we? Well, I guess I could just adjourn the meeting since there's no voting. So anyway, thank you all. Meeting is adjourned, and March 11th is our next meeting.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Can I ask the chair and Ruby, are you still on? Do we have time for that quick call? Or Ruby, did you get a chance to have that conversation? We're still in the open meeting. I just wondered if we needed to have a quick
Oh,
call.
in terms of the audit?
Yeah, and we're still in the public meeting. I still see people here, but do you have time for a call now? If I just hang up and call you?
Do you need to call me to say what we already said about the audit?
No, yeah. Did you get a chance to check it? We still have the public in the meeting, so I don't want to have not that that's terribly.
We're not going to say anything confidential. We can just simply let the chair know.
That's it. I didn't know if you had a chance to touch base with
Oh,
them.
no.
Okay. Yeah, because I got to the meeting early, but I didn't get a chance to to connect with anybody. So like as if we were in person, So yeah, that's just a little bit of housekeeping paperwork, So if we want to, should I touch base with you tomorrow?
Or Louisa.
Okay, yeah, she'll be in. Okay, super duper duper.
I can't say.
Okay.